Hey guys, Mike from Magnanimous here, and today we're taking a look at the iDirect Mark E. We featured this in previous videos, and it's a really helpful tool for documentaries or interviews so that your camera can sit looking through this hole, but I, the interviewer, can look and talk to my subject while they're looking directly at the camera. It features a creative one-way glass and mirror setup so that we can accomplish that, and our camera gets a clear view. It's very helpful if you have talent who aren't experienced, or you're having a really emotional interview where eye contact between subject and interviewer is very important to maintain that energy. Unfortunately, it does have some limitations, and I'll show you what I mean. This is the mounting platform for the iDirect. It attaches to the front of this U shape here, and we have this camera platform that's great for DSLRs or lightweight video cameras. Unfortunately, for using a camera like the Alexa Mini that we have here, it's a really long, very heavy setup that's going to be very challenging to mount onto this plate. This also goes for cameras like the FS7, the FX9s, or anything that's going to use really long lenses, such as the Canon 70-200, or really any telephoto zoom lens. So I wanted to just show you a few different ways that we can mount this alternatively rather than using this camera platform. And those are putting it onto rails in front of the camera, which I really enjoy because then it goes anywhere the camera goes, or putting it onto a stand that we can mount in front of the camera. If we want to come around, let's go to the workstation here, and I'll show you how we'll get this ready to go onto rails. First, we have a little shoulder clamp here from Red Rock, which can attach underneath and give us two 15mm rails. But we do want to get this camera platform out of the way. I'm going to take a small Allen key, and I'm just going to remove these screws in the front. Now, depending on the model of iDirect Mark E you have from us, these may also be Phillips head screws, but the methodology is the same. Once I've removed these screws, you'll see we have our plate, and we can set that to the side. And then we have just the tripod bracket here where this would typically secure. And we can move this by releasing these two socket cap screws, and we can actually adjust the position of this. And the nice thing is we can even rotate it to the other side depending on where we need these screw holes to go, giving us a lot of flexibility in terms of placement. So I'll remove these socket caps. And we do want to think about placement. Let's take a look at the Alexa Mini here in addition to this bracket, and we'll look and see roughly where we need to put this so that our camera can shoot through, because we don't want this too tall as the bottom of this U can interfere with our camera's view. So we are going to want it pretty low, and since we're putting a bracket on there, probably going to want this at the highest it can possibly go. So I'll come back over to the table here. I'm just going to line it up, and we're going to reattach this in the topmost position. There we go. And then we do want to take our shoulder clamp, and we're just going to check and see how that lines up. In this case, that 1/4-20 looks to be fitting perfect there. So I'm going to go ahead and take this, drop it down, and we'll secure it with a flat head. Then we can take this bracket and we can mount it directly to the front here. Now obviously our rails aren't going to pass through, so we are going to have to scooch it back or shorten the rails, but this allows us to put the iDirect right in front. I'm going to preemptively go ahead and put a small donut around our lights Summicron here to control some of the light leak, and then I'm going to scooch this back so that this can sit as close to our camera as we need. does look like we are hitting our tripod slightly here. So I think maybe if we reverse the position of our shoulder clamp, it might fit just a little bit better. And this is an important note to make when you're doing these setups. It's technically not how the iDirect was intended to be mounted, at least not the Mark E. And so you may have a little bit of adjustments that you need to do to get it to sit exactly where you want it to. I'm just going to flip our shoulder clamp around so that this really tall part here sits on the front. That'll allow us to back it up towards the camera just a little bit more. So let's check and see how that fits. There, we have a much better fit. I'm going to get our donut to go on top there, and we can feed this directly to where we're not going to have any light leak on the sides there. Our iDirect then mounts with 2 small thumb screws. I'm going to line it up. Let's go ahead and pull this out just a little bit, give us a little bit more room for adjustment. And I'm going to line it up, feed my thumb screws through. And do the same on my other side. Once it's on, we just want to make sure that we have that nicely lined up. The iDirect Mark E features a 95mm diameter, which makes it perfect for the Summicrons because they're a 95mm lens. And then I'm going to back this up, keeping that donut above the bracket there. And there we have a really nice setup with our Summicron. And if I flip this around and you guys look down the front, you can see me, so we can have a conversation while I interview you, and you can look directly at our camera. Now, while this is my favorite setup, and obviously once it's built, it is secure, it's not going anywhere, obviously it took a little bit of effort for us to get it here. What if we wanted something super simple, super easy, that wouldn't matter with the rods, and we could pull out of the box and get going really quickly? Well, for that, I've got a small spud here and a short C-stand. And we can take our iDirect and we can mount it to a C-stand in front of camera. That way we can quickly and easily just move the stand whenever we need to move the iDirect, and we can easily still get it to shoot and look the way we need. Setting that one up is almost even easier. I'm going to go ahead and remove the iDirect off the front here. I just need to remove our rod bracket off the bottom of it. And I'm going to replace it with this spud. Now, with how everything's sitting, I do think it would be best if we remove this off the iDirect and drop our platform down just a little bit, just so our spud has a little bit more clearance. So, just the same as what we did earlier, remove that socket cap screw, move that down, and we'll tighten everything down. This, of course, is how we first got it out, which means we wouldn't have needed to do any adjustment at all for this method. And I'm just going to thread this spud right into the bottom so it's nice and tight. And let's relocate that. And we can pop it right onto the top of our C-stand. And I like this method because this allows us to maintain tilt control with the iDirect, meaning if we are angling our shot in any way, we can make sure that the iDirect matches. And then our method for attaching the iDirect to the stand is just the same. I'm going to line it up here. Thumb screw goes on each side. Like so. Position this over our big leg for safety. And let's go ahead and position this in front of camera. I'm going to scooch my rods back so I have an easy time getting to the front. And this can go directly in front. I'm going to rise it up until it's the proper height that we need and run that directly in front of camera. And again, now I'm standing here. You can see me for an interview, and as soon as we're finished, I can just move this out. No need to mess with the camera at all. Pop off our donut, and we can start filming B-roll right away. I hope you guys found this helpful. The iDirect Mark E obviously being a super creative tool that's helpful for a lot of different productions. So if you guys are interested in renting this or trying any of the alternative mounting solutions we showed, obviously give us a call or visit magreds.com.